Hey folks, Travis D. some more from Texas, and tonight I'm going to talk to you about building resiliency and getting prepared for critical incidents, and in particular, how to manage your stress during a critical incident. I've been in several, and I'll explain that more in a few minutes, but I don't want to just talk about, how you manage stress a day or two after and post-traumatic stress and critical incident debriefing. I'll touch on those things maybe, but I want to talk to you about how you manage stress in the event. If you're in a bad vehicle accident, but more particularly, the real deal is Hamas is threatening to kill everybody, that they're not loyal to. So they've given a stated threat to the United States. So Iran does daily. So if we're somewhere at a big event and they hit that event and you're not severely injured, you're on the immediate less than dead circle, what do you do? How do you manage your stress in that event? And that's what I'm talking about. Okay, let me change screens. We'll get into it. Okay, folks, I'm back with you. And anyhow, what I want to get in, here's this article. And I'm going to go down through this article for the most part and kind of talk paragraph by paragraph, because I think this is a real important topic. I'm retired law enforcement, did 25 years with Houston PD, and then worked some counties for 4 years. And then I spent some time in Afghanistan working as a contractor embedded with first year National Guard and the second and third year with the regular Army, and worked out in the field with the Afghans. So, had some more of those critical stress moments. I've had the opportunity to learn firsthand about critical incident stress. And, when I joined the Houston Police Department in 1974, they didn't have training on how to manage stress. When you're out in the field, you work a homicide, you're with some other guys involved in shooting. They didn't really teach you how to manage the stress. And I saw guys do different things. I had one partner, and if we left something that really stressed him out, like a family disturbance or something, he would get away from that scene, then he'd stop and do jumping jacks. I never wanted to do jump, but he did. And I had another partner that would eat ice cream. He said it calmed him down. Okay, but most of us used alcohol. After all, that's what John Wayne did. What did John Wayne do after a big shootout? He got drunk. So, a lot of us used alcohol. Didn't work too good a lot of the times, but that's what we did. And through the years, about 1982, I'm going to scroll up here, the Houston Police Department hired the first psychologist to help with things about critical incidents and critical incident debriefing. And over the last 40 years, most first responders, law enforcement, and other first responders have started doing critical incident debriefing. It's best if done within the first 24 hours after a critical incident, which is normally death trauma. And it's best done in the first 24 hours if you can. And it doesn't eliminate post-traumatic stress, but you get educated about what to expect. And things like that was the most helpful for me. After shooting, I got information about what to expect later. Then later, when I had that reaction to post-traumatic stress, I understood what was going on for the most part. Get my whole bald head in the picture here. And, I would look for information on how to best do this. And one of the things I found is called block breathing. And I've got to explain it here, but you inhale at the count of 4, you hold it for the count of 4, you exhale at the count of 4, hold the exhale for the count of 4, and then you repeat it. You only need to do it 2 or 3 times, and it can kind of bring your stress level down. Most of what I used was just taking a couple of deep breaths. I was in a shooting incident in 1984, and my sergeant came up, and once he figured out me and my partner were in the shooters, he looked at my partner and said, "Look at me and shake it off," And my partner did that, and it worked. It took the edge off. And I borrowed that. I used that with my officers later in other incidents. And, so, that was helpful. But, I'm going to talk about building mental resiliency. There's a number of things. When I got on the Houston Police Department, they did, even in 1974, show us pictures of homicides, bad accidents, and say, this is the kind of stuff you're going to experience. So, you get it in your head, you're going to see that. That's part of building mental resiliency. Then in December '07, I went through 2 weeks of the Team Crucible training in Virginia, and pretty thorough training. And one of the things they did was show us videos of other dying corps guys in their convoys getting ambushed. They had cameras set up. They had, kind of like body cams. They had mics, and so you could hear what they were saying to each other. And it was good, built mental resiliency in that this is what it looks like, sounds like, and this is, how it goes. And so, and we did reaction to contact drills. When military type guys say reaction to contact, the contact is you're in a fight with the enemy. Troops in combat, tick. You're in a tick, you're in contact with the enemy. And that did help with mental preparation and building resiliency. Then that year, it was December 15th or something by the time we left for Afghanistan, and I worked near Jalalabad the first couple of months. Then I was put with a focus district development team, which I was embedded with a National Guard team charged with police mentoring. My partner and I were put with that team to be the police mentors in that team. And, we did get hit. And I'll show you a quick picture. This is where we got hit. And I used this caption in another presentation I did about Christian response to trauma. But what I would say is pray early, and then can you accept what comes next? When I say pray early, there's no time. You don't even know you're going to get hit when you're ambushed. So, and when you're ambushed by a suicide bomber, it's in less than the blink of an eye. You're in the explosion. I was in the lead Humvee. I'll move my cursor and see if you can see it, but where I got the little center right there is the front of our vehicle was there, and this right here is a transmission trail going back this way to the left, when we reversed out, but we were trying to make a left turn and go through that cut between the fire and the building on the right, and this guy detonated off our front left bumper when our vehicle was about here where the cursor is, and we reversed out, and that's the little shops that were behind them burnt. You can tell looking in this picture there wasn't much room between where we were and the shops. He was immediately off our front left bumper, and he detonated. So there's another critical incident and a chance to take a few deep breaths, having already built some mental resiliency. Now, and I'll mention this, I was 55 years old when this happened, and I had spent 25 years with Houston PD and worked counties for three and a half, 4 years, and so I'd already built up some mental resiliency to being in a fight. And this was after we got ambushed a couple of times. When I say ambush, the first one was about a 20-25 minute fight, and the second one was about 45-50 minutes. Both times, air cover came in and cleaned the bad guys off of us. So, I'd already built up some mental resiliency, but I was older. And in this opportunity, I got to watch a lot of younger guys having their first reaction to this type of event, and they had already built some mental resiliency by this time because we'd already been in a couple of ticks. So it wasn't their first fight, and it certainly wasn't mine. Excuse me. I'll get back to my article here. And then I went back 2 more times. I went back in October October '09 to October 2010. I was there July 13 and March 14. I was contracted with NPRI and embedded with the regular U.S. Army. And we had some similar training going over in that, like MRAP vehicle rollover. They had MRAP vehicles on pedestals, and we'd get in it. They'd tell you, okay, we're going to practice how to get out if your MRAP rolls over, gets blown over, how to find an exit hatch and get organized and get out. So we did that in combat medic training, and this was all mental preparation for what could happen. So, the audience I have on this, I feel it's going to be both maybe first responders and then just civilians, okay, that are just going to a football game or to a soccer game, and you go there and you're just having a great day with the family, then a bomb goes off or a couple of shooters show up and they knock a bunch of people down, but you're not one of the critically injured. You're uninjured or slightly injured, and you can be of service to others. So, if you got the block breathing, or, take a few breaths, just, take a few deep breaths and think and say, I'm going to think, I'm going to help, okay? And what can I do? If you've got first aid training, you can help stop bleeding, check for breathing. First thing, stop bleeding. And, and then help with other rescue or whatever. The United States is now under threat, and the probability of mass casualty events is growing quickly. So I want to encourage everybody, whether you're a first responder or a civilian, to get mentally prepared and build that resiliency, so if you are in an event, it'll improve your chances of survival. If you breathe and say, I'm going to think, I'm going to breathe, you don't have to panic. You can choose your reaction. But to get prepared to choose a reaction, you need to think about it, talk about it. Listen to me, find some other people talking about this, but get mentally prepared. It'll improve your chance both of survival and reaction, so you can be added value to the effort. You probably want to help, but take a few deep breaths, do the block breathing, and look and see what you can do. And, the people, you have like on a blast, you got a kill zone, and then outside of that, you got injuries, and outside of that, you got no injuries. So if you're in the slightly injured or not injured group, you can be added value to the effort. Think about the block breathing, practice it. I use it sometimes if I'm just tired. Or if I have some physical stress, I'll do the block breathing or the deep breaths. There's a guy named Wim Hof that teaches deep breathing, and cold water immersion and all that. But even if you're having a little insomnia, you can do like Wim Hof deep breathing. Lay down and try to take 30 deep breaths. And most of the time, I don't make it to count to 30. I go to sleep. So, these are things you can do. And the purpose of this is talking about building mental resiliency, so if you're in an event, you can be added value to the effort. Think about it. I'm going to have a Dropbox link in the caption or narrative with this video, so you can get this actual article. I'll show you at the end of it. I've got where I worked and when I was in Afghanistan and where, and the Dropbox links I'm going to have in the narrative. So all this is going to be there for you. Take a look at it, and remember, we can do all things through Him, that's Christ, who strengthens us. Amen. Y'all take care, and we'll be in touch. One other thing I'll add is I'd like to be able to develop some kind of dialogue. I may try to go live with this sometime in the near future, or Zoom meeting or something. If you see this on Getter, message me back if you'd be interested in seeing a live presentation of this where we could have some chat, some interaction back and forth, and we'll move on that. Thank you.